Swati Cup, Swati Thornyen. Hello, good evening. Around the world, welcome to MRE Uno D1 Super League Live 2025. We're recapping a crazy week one and look forward to week two and maybe some surprises too. As joining me as always is my main man, Perochek Art. Crazy week one, a lot of stuff happened. Thoughts on what's going to be in store for tonight, week two, and your thoughts overall on some of the results?
Well, I'm going to say this. Some of those results in week one were interesting to say the least, but it was kind of usual. Some of them, though, I would say, was pretty interesting.
That's the thing, right? Interesting was the name of the game, to say the least, in this dang league. It was something, man. And the league, let me tell you something, Art. It's not easy to produce really good results in this league. We always talk about that. It's always a tough sled when you get to Super League, but we had some really good players that showed up, and I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen, because week two is usually the week where we start to get bloodlines drawn and we start to understand the base setting. We'll start it off with a rather interesting recap. Nick and Brad. All I'm going to say is that game was good for the first 7. Nick and Brad were going back and forth. Then Brad had the 4-3. He controlled the game for the most part towards the end. But Nick had really good fighting skills. Unfortunately, it just... What's a good word? It just blew up in the face. There's an old card start rule is... Happy House joins us. Floppy House. Appreciate that, Ghost Buddy. There was an old start rule with 20 cards and you can't go draw back. And then Nick and Brad kind of got into a shouting match. We don't want to discuss that too much. I really was impressed with both players. Forget that one moment. Or they seem to never let the moment encapsulate them. They seem to be very locked in. Your thoughts on both Nick and Brad? Because I thought both guys did a phenomenal job, despite some issues.
I think, really, if we just think about the 7 games, that was one of those sorts of games that were just really good. Yes, it got tarnished by Game 8 with all the nonsense in that. But if we just go by the 7 games, really good on both players. I think both of them, it could have made a one or two close different moves that could have changed the whole perspective here, and it could have been 4-3 Nick if at any point. So good job on both.
Yeah, I think Nick and Brad, considering they both have week 3 and 4 buys, need to get the points. You got to get the points now. Week 1 is about getting a point, get the base setting, get your ammo control right, get the jitters out. I think both guys, in my humble opinion, they're on the up, I think, than most people think. And when you're on the up like that, things start to go into a new level. So I'm interested to see how both guys will bounce back when we get to a more rapid approach of Super League. Now, the next match, where do we begin with this? Lara was dominating. Absolutely dominating. Gone. First 4 games, wins all 4, on the road, statement. Then all of a sudden, Gon finds a way to get 3 in a row using good ammo control, really outsmarting Lara on efficiency and pace. But then loses game 8 and basically said, I could have ended this an hour ago. I'm going to you here, Pro, because you said Gon was going to be one of your 3 guys that would make the top 3. Where do you have him right now? I mean, after that loss, because that was not the easiest wins and he got, and even the losses were tough. Thoughts on that?
Well, look, yes, you lost by 1 game, but almost made a comeback to tie the whole thing up. Look, I think Gon did all right in his home half besides that last game, but I think Gon has a good thing going up with the rest of the week. Yes, made some slight mistakes, but we'll be able to try to rebound from here on out.
Well, the rebound's going to happen quick for Gon, because he needs to find something. I think the mentality needs to change a little bit. As for Lara, that's a statement win. Nobody had Lara winning. Maybe I might have actually had Lara winning this game actually over Gon, but not many people had Lara going out there and smoking Gon early. And when Gon did smoke Lara early, or Lara smoked Gon early, I thought for sure this could have been a runaway. But it was a 5-3 close game. But ultimately, Lara found a way to clutch up in Game 8. Gon, he'll have to go back to the drawing board and see what he can cook up. Interesting Group A. We'll talk about the standings a little bit later. But Group B was more interesting than people think. We started off with background versus gold. Let's face it, we knew coming in this one was going to be a barn burner. Both games were 2 rematches. What was your thoughts before we even get to the outcome of this match in general? Background. So I thought, honest to God, I thought this was the best game of the round.
I think it was with no problems going on from either guy. Really, this one was probably one of the top games, and really, even if it was a rematch, they made it almost seem identical to the first time meeting. So, really happy to see how the game went.
Now, background was up 3-1, seemed to have a lot of control of the situation. Really did a good job of just understanding the aspect of Gold, who was really built on runs and runs to the finish. Background had Gold's number. But then Gold, the veteran presence, found a way to just find the limit, right? Find the limit, keep pushing, and never settling, and always being hungry for more on just everything. Card control, everything. And I think the veteran experience ultimately is what tied Gold and background. Your thoughts on the expectations for both moving forward? Because background week 3, Gold will be on a week 2 bye coming up.
Well, I think for background going on here to this next game, just wants to kind of get into that comfortable position here, so it doesn't have to worry about much. While for Gold, it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens. We'll just have to play it by the game here.
Well, if that was a battle of the war, right? Who would win the war? Well, nobody won the war, as in that was just a stalemate. Someone did win the war, and it was Monkey Boy 2-0 on the season over Toasty. I mean, he was pretty much in control the whole game. Toasty tried this new 5-15 strat. I respect the effort, but unfortunately for Toast, was not the end result he was looking for. And for him, he's going to have to figure it out, Art, because he's going to have another rematch coming up, which we'll talk about with background. For Monkey, this is a shock, man, because 3 points off the bat. A lot of people said, would he revert back to Super League, or pre-T4 Monkey? He did so far, but that was a rematch. He's going to have to figure it out here in less than 2 hours, which is huge because he plays Acosta tonight. Thoughts on Monkey and Toasty on the ropes already?
Look, this is something I was kind of hoping to see out of Monkey. Try to get back to before the whole stuff happened. Get back to how he was doing before that. And he got the job done in that game. Yes, Toasty's now on the road, but now you got to think for Toasty, what will Toasty have to do to rebound, get back into the groove of things, and play his cards right? Because that was a complete disaster for Toasty week 1.
It's just not the usual Toast form we know and love. And Toast is a guy, it's not really someone who falls behind. He's always been calm, composed in these big playoff games. Yeah, Super League, regular season a little bit all over the board. But he's got to get back to the serious mode because the calculator is starting to burn up here, Art. The calculations for him are starting to say, okay, a lot of time, but there's not a lot of time left when you only got 3 more weeks, and week 5 is your bye. So who knows what it's going to be for Toast come said week 2. I'll put the standings up in the charts here. Week 1, Group A, Lara with 3 points, GD 2. The rest tied or lost and gone. The only one with 0 points. He's last in the basement. Cesar yet to play. We'll see him. We'll talk about him later. He'll be here tomorrow, making his Super League debut. Art, obviously, we go back to your predictions. You had Gone making it, I believe, in Nick and Brad, if I'm not mistaken. I had Nick and Brad with Cesar. Neither one of us had Lara, so Lara's proving us wrong. Thoughts on these Week 1 standings and what Gon's got to do in Week 2, and especially what Nick and Brad got to do in a sense, too, to overcome that controversy.
Well, starting off with the whole controversy stuff, really, they got to just shut those down quickly. Even though one of them's going to take a bye off this week, the other one, though, is going to have to play. Just try to play the game normally and don't bring in any more controversy. And hopefully that'll work out. Now, on the other side of things, Gon's got to try to rebound, clearly. Get back to the group of things, and we'll see how that goes. But Lara making us question our predictions here. I'll say this. Good job on Lara to start proving us. We'll see how that keeps on going here. Lara might be on one of those teams that could try to make a rise.
Well, Lara's on team steal the thunder, right? Prove the doubters wrong, proving us wrong right now, and don't mind it though. Great guy. We were supposed to, unfortunately, we couldn't get the interview on Monday, but we are going to try to get an interview with him at some point. Learn more about Lara Huo, the man, what he's got going on in his life. But for now, he's the points leader as we exit Group A. Now, for Group B, as we'll go back here, I'm interested in Group B because Monkey's the points leader. Now, you think on most circumstances, okay, this is great for Monkey. I don't know what to think about this. Very good background, by the way, tie 1. And then Toasty -2. Acosta yet to play. We'll see him tonight. My problem here is, Art, you had the right. We both had Varigold, I believe, making it, right? I believe we both had Acosta Toasty. No, you had back. Who'd you have? Oh, no, you had Monkey Acosta Toasty. Acosta Toasty. I had Varigold, Acosta, and Toasty. This one's a more interesting group, because Monkey being at the top of the food chain is a unique and almost similar position where he was at the beginning of the year, T3-4, right, and middle of the year. Now he's at the top of the food chain, but he has to play tonight. He gets a player that's on a bye, which we'll talk about in Acosta. Very good background coming with a lot of. I think Toast is the one we got to look at hard. Is it must win for Toasty in Week 2? Bold prediction. What do you think?
Well, if we're going to try to be bold here, I would think so. I think already, if we're thinking about this, Toasty's bye week's coming up very soon. If Toasty's not in a good position before his bye week, it is a big issue for Toasty for the rest of the group. Toasty's got to win Week 2. No question about it.
I understand he's got a bye week in Week 5, but let's face it. If Toaster Guy can't win this week, questions are going to start to arise of not just how he got here, but the schedule he had. Because he's got a brutal schedule, which we'll talk about. It's not an easy schedule for the man. He's got 3 rematches in this group. Okay, that alone right there will make a man falter in any cases. So he's going to have to really find something special coming up. All right, let's get to it, man. Week 2 predictions. We're going to start it off with the game tonight. We're going to go by the schedule this time. Monkey versus Acosta. Monkey 5-3, right? We know what he can do. We got Acosta, a guy in my opinion that's sure he's off the bye, but he can really do something special. What do you think about this matchup? Because it's going to happen soon. Monkey Acosta. Who do you got? Who's going to steal one? What are you thinking here?
Look, I'm not going to say anybody's going to steal one here, but I think this one's going to be one of the interesting matchups here in Group B. Maybe, though, it could be the better matchup of Group B, because how these two are kind of going into situations here. Monkey coming off a great Week 1, while Acosta is coming off a bye. I think this one's going to be a good one, but I somehow think this will end up in a tie.
Did not post the week stand. I'll post it later. I'm going to go Acosta gets this one 5-3. I really do. I like where he's at right now. Yeah, okay, he's off a bye. Understandable. But I like where he's at. I just think Acosta's a guy that he wants to get hot and play slow. Lara played slow, methodical. Guess what Lara did in week 1, the first week he played? He won. I think Acosta will repeat history, and he'll get the win in not going to say a blowout, but a nice, fruitful way to start his 2025 Super League campaign. As we all know, he can definitely spin the old cards on his direction. Now, this next one, Art, I think this one's going to be more of an interesting matchup. It's a rematch. It's going to be Background versus Toasty. We all know Toasty has to win this game. Background beat Toasty the first time. Where do you see this one playing out? This is a tough one to predict. This is Toasty another chance of redemption here, maybe.
Well, if Toasty now has to feel like you got to win here, you got to go here. No doubt Toasty's going to have to be aggressive. But will the aggressiveness cost Toasty against Background character who's probably not going to go there? Unfortunately, I might say it does. And I think the aggression's going to come back and haunt Toasty. I see Background winning this 5-3.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go Toasty gets it done 5-3. I got to think this is it, man. Because if he doesn't get it done this week, another rematch is looming with Acosta, and that was a different Acosta than what he played in T2. This is it. He's got to look at this 2 games. One, we know Background is a player that plays pretty concise and pretty realistic and clean in most cases. But the time for realistic and clean is over. You got to go out there and be a dog. I need Toaster got to be a dog. Forget the fun and games. It's time to whatever. It really what it's time for. It's time for whatever you had in the beginning and turn it up to heat now. He needs to turn up the heat. Needs to get aggressive on ammo. Needs to get aggressive on plan B, C, D, E in the game. Not be afraid to take risks on card control. If he can do all those said things, watch out. If he can't, it's going to be a long night. And I'm going to have to think Toaster guy at 4 o'clock tomorrow is going to come out with the fire that we haven't seen. So I'm going Toaster 5-3. Might regret it, but I'll go with it. Well, this is the last 2 games. This is the first of the 2. The guys that just want to get off the back, starting it off with Nick and Cesar, Group A. Nick, obviously, we all know the story from last week. Tries to put himself in a better spot. Cesar off a bye. What says you are? Interesting game. What do we got?
Interesting game here, and really, this could be a close game. However, Caesar's coming off a bye. He's finally getting the debut here in Super League. I think he's going to take this without the stress, while Nick is trying to bounce back from last week. I say Cesar wins 5-3.
I like that prediction. I really do, and I'm going to agree with that, even though the CPU's got Nick winning 5-3. I think Jay Cesar is licking his chops to get back in the game. Here's why. When somebody has a problem, a.k.a. what happened to Nick, where the controversy is looming, you're going to have to take advantage. This is a wounded duck coming into fight. And if you can't get it done with a wounded duck coming into fight, don't show up in the first place. It's got to be now or never for Nick in a sense. Even though I know he's got 1 point, it's nice, but he needs to get off that controversy. Caesar's got time. The beauty of week 1, Art, whatever happens this week doesn't really matter. You got 3 more games after this. This is a warm-up. That's the beauty of week 1. You have 3 more games. Even if you don't start off hot here, there's time. Don't panic. We'll start judging Caesar or anything in week 3 because week 2 he's just got to learn up to speed. I'm going to have to think Caesar's going to be amped up. He's going to be ready to go balls to the walls in himself. I'm going to have to go Jay Cesar here, 5-3 in a big showdown. He'll get the win. I like where you're spinning. Now, The question is going to be for this next game, and it's a vital question. Brad Gunn, who wants to come back with vengeance more? Obviously, Brad, the controversy, we all know it. But Gunn, I mean, just nowhere, man. I mean, yeah, okay, he had a decent win. Don't get me wrong, a decent win. The streak going in Lara's homestand, but nowhere was the answer for him most of the game, and most of that stand, he was out to lunch. Where do you think this game lies, and what are going to be the keys here to see which player wins, Brad or Gunn?
This one's a interest. This one I'm questioning on what might happen because here's the thing: I got no idea even what might happen. Look, yes, controversy side on what happened with Brad. That's going to make things harder for him. But then gone, terrible homestand, almost kind of came back in the away side of things. But he's got to fix that problem up as well. So basically, you got two players here who are either in trouble or need a bounce back after what happened. So when you throw all the possibilities in here, I'm going to say, as a reasonable stature here, this game's going to probably end in a tie.
Took the words out of my mouth. Copy paste. Yeah, I'm going to go tie here. This is the problem. Is I really wanted to go with Gon here. I really did because Brad, I think, he's going to be in an interesting state, right? The problem is if Gon hadn't lost the way he had lost, if it was a 5-3 and it was close and it came down to game 8 where he just straight lost instead of winning 3 straight and brutally losing that last one, I think his mentality would have been better. But unfortunately for him, he lost and it was a game of runs. So congratulations to Lara on that win, but I'm going tie. I think it's going to be a tie. I think both guys will come and fire him, but it's going to come down to who has more motivation. I think Gon will get his first point, Brad gets the second point, and starts building that character up. Are your thoughts now on the two players that got a bye? Obviously, picking week 2, Varigold and Lara. Lara, obviously the points leader. That's heaven for him. Off, got the points lead for Varigold. Hard to say. Okay, only 1 point, but he's used to week 4 or 5 bye. So your thoughts on this one? On the two players that picked the
Well,
bye?
I think Gold being on a bye right now, this could be a good chance for Gold to sort of take some notes and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to go from weeks 3 to 5 with the best sort of strategy from here on out. While for Lara, might just take this week to just watch the games and be prepared for the next 3 opponents after the bye.
I like both players picking the bye this week, believe it or not. I know week 2 is because of the fact that, Lara won. That's a great way to bounce back into week 3 knowing you're still going to be in the top 3 no matter what happens. Even if Gon wins, right, or Siege, you're probably still going to be in the top 3. Gold, on the other hand, needs some results to happen, right? Monkey Acosta time wouldn't be the worst. Toasty winning, ironically, wouldn't be the worst. So there's a lot of looking at the standings, Art, I think for Varigold, you need some results to happen. But if you're Lara, I don't think it matters what happens. Lara's hot right now. If you're hot and you're in the zone, you can pick it up for sure. Just pick up where you left off. Now, I'm going to say this, we're going to talk about some keys. Which game out of the 4 do you think will be the best? Do you think it'll be Toasty's game with the rematch of background? Do you like Cesar Acosta versus Monkey? Do you think Brad and Nick can get off the schneid against Cesar and Gon respectively? Which out of the 4 do you think will be the best game? Make a prediction.
I think out of the 4 games, really, I think it's going to be Toasty and background character. That game, I think, has more potential of having something good come out of it than the others.
I think the rematch element for sure. Toasty needs it more. The only thing I'm going to say, I'm going to be contrary here. I actually think tonight's game is going to be the best game. And here's why. Nick, Brad, okay. You can argue that they're just trying to, let's face it, just get back to winning ways or get back on track. But there's something about Acosta Monkey, the points leader versus the guy come up, the element of surprise and unknown. I think that's going to give a lot of perspective for both guys. So I'm going to say Acosta Monkey, best game of the round. Last segment, Art, week 3, looking ahead. Obviously, we're not going to go in deep in it. What's going to be the one storyline of this week that we're going to hear, that we're going to predict for week 3? What's the one storyline? Give me one storyline coming out.
Ooh, this is difficult because it's gonna. I think we're basically heading towards. Once we get into week 3, it's about contenders versus pretenders. That's what I'm gonna basically put. We're gonna see who are gonna be those contenders battling for spots versus the guys who got into Super League and just didn't show up.
This is tough. I'm gonna say the storyline. I'm gonna give for both. I'm gonna say for Group B. I think Acosta gets a big win over Monkey and runs the group. I think when you beat the points leader, you can run the group. I'm gonna say Acosta runs the group. It could be a potential spoiler in what people think. For Group A, Lara makes out like a bandit. I really do. Cesar will win, right? The other game gets tied. Nick's at 1. Gon's at 1. Brad's at 2. Cesar and Lara tie at 3, but Lara has a lot of experience. I'm going to say Cesar and Lara will be at 3, but Lara makes out like a bandit and uses a smart week 2 bot. That's going to be my 2 predictions. Well, let us know at home chat. What do you think about this week 2 coming up? I can't wait for this week. Obviously, I'm not streaming tonight. I'm not streaming potentially Thursday. That might be Seth actually, but I'll be there commentating. But the other 2 games tomorrow I got. Looking forward to what's about to be in store. I want to thank everybody for what's been a really, really good Super League so far. Let's get to that schedule before we sign off. Coming in hot will be tonight's game. Acosta versus Monkey, 9 o'clock. Cannot wait for that. That'll be with G. Bring us coverage there. And then we got Toasty background at 4 o'clock tomorrow, followed up by Nick Cesar, the debut of Cesar at 7. Looking forward to that as well. Then Brad Gon rounds out the week the 18th. Now, the 19th we'll have an interview with Toasty at 7 o'clock. However, there were some things that happened between the bot D2 chip did not work. Unfortunately, that game today that was supposed to happen was canceled and it's been moved to Friday at 5. So we will not be having our usual coverage on Saturday and Sunday. Very likely what we're going to have is that week 3 prediction. We're probably going to do it on Sunday night potentially now. Mainly because we want the D2 chip to wrap up. Or actually not Sunday, Friday night. So we're going to probably do a doubleheader. We'll do 7 o'clock on Friday, the Toast interview, then 9:30 right after. We're going to do these previews. And then Sunday we'll have an off day. Unfortunately, we can't play on, as much as I wanted to play on Sunday for week 3, due to the D2 chip, we don't know how it can work. The grand reset basically is the problem. If we do reset, that's going to be the ultimate problem. So, with that being said, that's going to conclude all the matches, all the schedule. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Larry Who interview will be rescheduled at some point. For myself and Art, it's been a really good show. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Check us out tonight at 9 o'clock. Super League 2025 Week 2 continues. We see the Dream, as he's known. Acosta has seen the Dream, is back to make his Super League debut. Looking forward to seeing what Acosta will do and everybody else competing in Week 2 of Super League. For myself and Art, we will see you around. Until then, good night, everybody, and we'll see you at 9 o'clock with G. Have a good night.